Namaskar. Welcome to this BJYM training course on the Vidyakamal app. And I today will take you through a discussion and my views on a phrase called the India Techade. This India Techade description of the future years, the coming years for India, was first coined by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji in July 2021, as he was marking and as we were all marking the 6th year of the Digital India program that our Honorable Prime Minister launched in 2015. Before I get to what India Techade is and describe why the India Techade is not just a vision but a real dream, and as the Honorable Prime Minister himself has said, it is a decade of technology opportunities that will shape the future of India in unprecedented ways, and most importantly, build a future of India that is a future built by the youth of India. तो इंडिया टेकेड एक नया फ्रेज है या एक नया डिस्क्रिप्शन है, ये हमारे फ्यूचर का एक विजन है जो प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने आगे रखा है, और उन्होंने साफ ये भी कह दिया कि ये इंडिया टेकेड बनाएंगे हमारे युवा, देश के युवा. So before I get into India Techade, a little bit of context. In 2015, our Prime Minister had the vision and the foresight of launching the Digital India program as one of the earliest initiatives that the government took after he had become Prime Minister. After the people of India had voted him, voted for change and voted Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji into the position of being a Prime Minister and leading India. And in 2015, I was in the audience, much like you are watching and listening to me today. I was in the audience listening to our Honorable Prime Minister. And he laid out a broad vision of Digital India. He wanted technology to achieve 3 broad objectives. And the first objective he wanted, and he continues to want and ask, is that technology must change, bring change in the lives of average Indians, every Indian citizen. यानी कि लोगों के जीवन में टेक्नोलॉजी के द्वारा एक बदलाव आए. The second thing he wanted was that technology must create more and more opportunities for our youth. We must expand our economy, we must expand our digital economy, create more opportunities for investments, jobs and entrepreneurship for the youth of India. The third objective he laid out in 2015 was that India, after 30-40 years of being a consumer of technologies, हम एक देश, हमारे देश में टेक्नोलॉजी हम बाहर से लेके आते थे 30-40 साल से, और उनका कहना था कि हम आगे जाकर टेक्नोलॉजी बनाएंगे दुनिया के लिए और हमारे लिए भी. That we will be a producer of technology, not just for ourselves, but for the world's consumers and the world's enterprise. And broadly, these were his vision that drove Digital India. And I have no hesitation in saying that when I was sitting in the audience, I also found it difficult to comprehend, difficult to believe that we would actually make these kind of big leaps. We are in 2022 today, 6-7 years on. If you don't count the COVID period of disruption in between, really we have spent 6 years on Digital India. And we are a country today where the long held discourse कि हमारे देश में dysfunctionality है, governance कभी काम करता नहीं है. The further you are away from government, the more difficult it is for government to make an impact on your life. That has been turned on its head. And in the late 1980s, a famous quote from our then Prime Minister Rajeev Gandhi, who said that 15 paise out of every 100 paise that leaves Delhi only reaches the Indian citizen. ये था उन दिनों में 2014 से पहले एक नरेटिव इंडिया के बारे में, इंडियन गवर्नेंस और इंडियन डेमोक्रेसी के बारे में. और आज 2022 में प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने जो उनका पहला मकसद था, his first goal of bringing change into people's life has been more than met by the use of technology, where today 100 paise that leaves or 100 rupees that leaves the government exchequer targeted at a beneficiary, 100 paise reaches, 100 rupees reaches without leakage, without corruption, without any delay, and with the most responsiveness that any citizen could ask for. So the age-old narrative, the decades-old narrative that India, because it is a large nation with a large population, governance will never work, the governance will always be dysfunctional, has been changed, transformed deeply and permanently by our Honorable Prime Minister and his Digital India vision. The second, in 2020, when we look back again and look at where our digital economy is, 2014 se pehle, the narrative around the digital economy was restricted to technology services companies. We were the outshoring hub for countries around the world. And today we are a broad spectrum of opportunities that range from technology services to semiconductors, to the internet, to innovation, to startups. And we are today an over $300 billion digital economy, well on our way to becoming a $1 trillion digital economy. And more importantly, it has created opportunities, it has created innovation opportunities, it has created job opportunities, entrepreneurship opportunities for our youth. This is the country that in 2014 had very few startups, and today we have over 80,000 startups. This is a country where billionaires were only made if they were famous last names or they were related to somebody, and today we have over 102 unicorns who have all made it on their own, through their enterprise, through their innovation, with no scarcity of capital, no roadblock to their success. This is the same India, but this is an India after the transformative effect of Digital India. The third point I want to just bring your attention to is the issue of technology and technology capability. For the longest period of time, and I know this for a fact because I used to be an entrepreneur and I built one of the first cellular companies in India. Everything in those days had to be imported. Computer ho to computer import karna, wireless technology ho to wo bhi import karna padta tha, billing system ho wo bhi import karna padta tha. And today India is a producer, a cutting edge producer of technologies, 5G, semiconductor design, artificial intelligence. Wherever you look, today in the space of technology, India is in the lead. If not in the lead, it is amongst the leaders. So that is why recently a digital minister from a foreign country made a beautiful statement that summarizes where India is in terms of the technology ecosystem of the world. Unhone kaha, and he said, on all things technology, India's fingerprint will be on everything and everywhere in the future. This is an acceptance and acknowledgement of those amongst the world's leading nations looking at India today and looking at India's place in technology. So given this backdrop, given the fact that the Indian digital economy and the technology ecosystem in India has transformed so significantly, what is the India Techade? India Techade is the Prime Minister telling the youth of India the last 6 years, 7 years of what he has done by way of policy, how he has unleashed entrepreneurship, how he has created opportunities that range from drones to rockets for the young Indian, today represents an unprecedented opportunity for not just young Indians to succeed in the next 10 years, but to make the next 10 years a decade where the digital economy, the innovation economy, can go from the current 10, 15, 20% of the total GDP to over 25% of the total GDP. He is clear and he has laid before our nation his vision that India, which is now the 5th largest economy in the world, must over the next 10 years become a fully developed nation and become one of the leading economies of the world. How do we do that? The India Techade is clearly one way of doing that. The India Techade is a decade where Indian entrepreneurship and Indian innovators and Indian youth can innovate in a range of opportunities, ranging from the technology services businesses, which we know traditionally, including the IT and ITES space, which has hired and provided employment for hundreds and thousands and crores of Indians, to the internet and the internet consumer tech economy, as we have seen many startups have been created, And we are now moving into electronics manufacturing, 5G ecosystem, AI, high performance computing, semiconductor, electronic systems design, electronics innovation, space, drones. The spectrum of opportunities that now is in front of the youth is an unprecedented and historic range of opportunities that has never happened before in the history of India as an independent country. When people like me got into, graduated from engineering college, हमारे पास एक दो opportunities होते थे, तीन opportunities होते थे. या तो सरकार join करो, या you join one or two of these big private companies, or you go do higher studies after getting some financial help from your parents. Today, for a young Indian, you have an unprecedented opportunity of having a government and a government ecosystem and policy framework that is an enabling framework that encourages youngsters to pursue their dreams and be successful in it. Plus, a range of opportunities that range from, like I said, traditional ITES areas to the cutting edge of semiconductors and semiconductor design. The youth of India today also represents a talent pool, not just for India's opportunities, but also for the world. And increasingly, a new trend is emerging where the talent deficit and the demographic headwinds of the rest of the world are being addressed by India's youth and talent from India. तो हमारे लिए, हमारे युवाओं के लिए, the opportunities are not just in India, but because of skilling, the opportunities also are to go pursue opportunities of entrepreneurship, of work in other parts of the world which require talented, young, dedicated, and committed individuals and participants in their workforce and in their entrepreneurship ecosystem. Opportunities for in the India Techade is not just to be a part of what is going to be one of the world's largest digital economies and one of the world's most fastest growing economies, but it is also to be part of this global trend of rapid and accelerated digitization. And it is amazing how the India story of digitalization today is inspiring almost every country in the world. So जैसे मैंने कहा कि एक अबू धाबी के डिजिटल मिनिस्टर थे और उन्होंने कहा recently that in the future the fingerprint of India will be on all things everywhere and on everything technology. This is because one of the defining moments of India's digitalization and the benefits of digitalization was seen during COVID. COVID was an event that laid low or in a sense challenged every nation, big or small, developed or developing, north or south. Every country and every citizen of these countries had to deal with this pandemic. It was one uniform challenge. Lives and livelihoods were disrupted, economies were disrupted, trade was disrupted. And 2 years after COVID, when the world wakes up and does a report card of which nation has performed, which people fought resiliently, and who have come out on the other side of this COVID storm in what shape or form, it is clear, it is a universally acknowledged truth that the people of India, led by the Prime Minister of India and his government, has caused India to reach the other side of the storm in a way that is very different from other countries. India today is the fastest growing economy in the world. It is the fastest growing innovation ecosystem in the world. It has created post-COVID the third largest technology innovation ecosystem. It is attracting the highest FDI compared to any other country in the world. It has the lowest inflation compared to any other country in the world. And on the other hand, advanced economies like the US and the so-called advanced economy of China, countries like UK, are even today struggling with the delivery of vaccine, the repeated 6th, 7th wave of COVID. They are struggling with an economy that has been overstimulated and is demonstrating high inflation and sharp decline in their currency values. So the world has woken up to the reality that India is not just the preeminent user of technology to improve people's lives, but also as a consequence of that, it has dealt with this historic crisis in the strongest manner. And post-COVID, the realization that India's technology capabilities, India's innovation ecosystem is something that the world wants to copy, be a partner of, is also increasingly gaining traction. And as a matter of fact, last year, the Honorable Prime Minister launched something called the India Stack, which is now India's offering to the world, to the countries that cannot afford to invest that kind of money in innovation and development and digitizing its government. India says, we will be a partner, we will give you affordable technology called the India Stack, where a country, let us say in Africa or a country in the global south, can also aspire to digitize its economy, connect better delivery of government and public services to its people. So India has become not just an innovation hub, not just a digital economy powerhouse, but keeping in consistent our Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, our philosophy towards our partner nations. India is also today a beacon of hope, a beacon of technology, and a beacon of innovation to countries that have trailed innovation and trailed digitization in the past. So this is where we are today. In terms of the India Techade, let me share a couple of other examples of the momentum that we have for the India Techade. In 2014, 92% of mobile phones that were consumed in India were imported. 90 to 92%. And everything had to be imported. In 2022, 97% of the mobile phones consumed in India are manufactured in India. In 2014, we had zero exports of mobile phones. और आज के दिन में we are going, this year alone we will export, this year 22-23 we will export about 80,000 crores, and next year the Prime Minister has given us a target of doing 1 lakh crores of exports and making mobile phone exports amongst the top 10 exports from our country. This is a big transformation from a country that had to import all its electronics, almost all of its electronics, to becoming a trusted partner in the global value chains for electronics, becoming a country where we are exporting Apple phones and Samsung phones to the consumers of the world. This happened because of the foresight, the perseverance, and the policies of our government's leadership and our Prime Minister's vision and ambition. So the India Techade, if you extrapolate what we have achieved in the last 8 years, if you look at the newly found confidence amongst our young Indians, if you look at the trends of global digitalization and demand for innovation, it is clear that the India Techade is not just a dream, it is going to be an absolutely overwhelming reality that will transform the country, its economy, its digital economy, and lives of hundreds and lakhs and crores of young Indians. There is a tendency to think that a minister comes, speaks, and of course I will speak only good things, but let me in end share something with you that will certainly give you confidence about the India Techade. And I'll share some quotes with you. Pat Gelsinger, who is the Chief Executive Officer of one of the global technology powerhouses called Intel, came in March of 2022 to India, met our Honorable Prime Minister, and he tweeted and he said after that when he met me as well, I am deeply optimistic about the coming decade for India. India will continue to support the growth of globe's innovation and technology ecosystem, the world's innovation and technology ecosystem. Michael Spence, who is a Nobel laureate and an American economist whom I admire, said recently, and I quote, the global economy is undergoing a regime change today, and India is the outstanding performer now. Bob Sternfels is the CEO of McKinsey. McKinsey is, as you know, one of the global consulting companies. He said, it is not India's decade, it is India's century that is going to come around the corner. So this is how the world looks at us. There is a newfound confidence in ourselves. Post-COVID, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, we have reimagined our ambitions. हम पहले छठा सातवां नंबर के इकोनॉमी थे. We have become fifth largest economy in the world. We are demonstrating every day today, repeatedly, our leadership in the innovation and technology ecosystem. And I am extremely confident that with the leadership and the path that our Prime Minister has laid out, the India Techade is just going to be an absolute reality, and it will be made a reality by hundreds and thousands and lakhs of young Indians in colleges, universities, in skill centers, in technology centers all around the country. In the last 17 months that I've had the privilege of being a minister and serving with a team Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, I have visited over 40 colleges and campuses around the country. And I am telling you today with absolute confidence that the energy and the spirit and the passion and the determination of young Indians to succeed in the coming decade is unparalleled, and I have personally never seen this type of energy and enthusiasm ever before. It is for us to all work together, and as the Honorable Prime Minister says, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas, to make this India Techade vision of the Honorable Prime Minister a reality. And I have no doubt that working together, we will certainly make this a reality and take India to its, in a sense, destiny of being a global economic and technology power. Thank you. Jai Hind.